I'm here with Lowell Shawns, who's the chairman of the Board of Governors here at the Miller-Cory Museum. Lowell, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for being here.
Well, why don't you tell us how you got involved in this terrific museum that we have here in Westfield?
Sure. So I moved to Westfield when I was an infant in 1970, and I was here for the bicentennial when they were doing the parades in town as well in 1976. Well, I was 6 at the time. And I always thought that was such a cool thing, and I always wanted to do that. And when we bought our house in Mountain Avenue, which is just a few houses down from here, we came over here almost every Sunday, and I said to my wife, you know what, I think I want to join that as well. And at the same time, I actually joined a reenacting unit. So same duds for both, and that's what it was. That whole, even that experience in 1976 made me want to join and become a member here, and here I am.
Interesting. Well, we're filming this a day after Christmas, so were you down crossing Delaware yesterday?
No, I wasn't. It was too cold. I had to get the kids.
Well, tell me what your role as chairman of the Board of Governors. I mean, what do you do?
So on the Board of Governors, we determine the main things, and we run the house basically, determine what we want to spend money on, what we don't want to spend money on, what we actually track the top problems of the house and how to task them out to people, that kind of stuff.
So mostly repairs are done through volunteers?
As much as possible, but obviously you can't. You know, if we need a new boiler or something, you have to get somebody, a tradesman, to come in and do that. Right.
And what's your future capital project that has to be accomplished here?
Well, to be honest with you, we don't make huge capital projects here. You'd have to have an enormous amount of money for that, and we basically take in enough money to run the museum, or sometimes even operate at a deficit. So there's no plans for anything like that. Okay. But if someone were to make an enormous contribution, then obviously that could change. But at this point, it's not going to change.
Now, are you a history buff as well?
I'm very interested in history, yeah. Okay. I guess anybody who dresses like this is going to be interested in history, right?
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about that uniform that you have on?
Sure. So this is a New Jersey Continental regular soldier uniform dated from 1777, not 1776, with the blue and the red. And if you look at my buttons, they've got New Jersey inscribed on them. And I'm in a reenactment unit called the 3rd New Jersey, which is based out of Springfield. So this uniform was tailor-made for me by a local guy from Scotch Plains, who actually came and measured the breeches, and all historical fabrics. Actually, the pants are made of hemp, so don't call the cops. The vest is made of hemp because stuff like cotton wasn't available in New Jersey at the time. So linen at the time was a cheap fabric.
So when you're doing these reenactments, you're wearing this clothing, correct?
Yes.
And so you really get a good feel of how the soldiers felt back then. They didn't have this modern technology, this nylon and waterproof insulated materials. Instead, they have this, which actually probably doesn't keep you that warm.
Well, to be honest with you, this is very warm. And to answer your first question, yes, you're right. You get a very good flavor of that. You know, when you're standing in the woods with ticks on your legs and firing your musket at people, then yeah, you get a very good sense. And people talk about having these moments where all of a sudden you totally forget where you are. It never happened to me, but you forget the place and time that you're in. But you'd be surprised how warm this stuff is. And despite how heavy this wool coat is, it's very cool in the summer.
Okay.
Because you perspire and it becomes wet and it cools you down.
Okay, very good. How many reenactments do you do a year yourself?
It depends, really. Sometimes I'm more active than others. This year I wasn't as active, but usually I try to get to 3 or 4 at least.
Okay.
And then there's the Miller-Cory House. The Miller-Cory has been taking up more of my time, though, this year.
So, Lowell, right now we're in front of the Frazee House, it looks like. What's this building?
So this is where we do the open hearth cooking demonstrations. And this house was not original to the grounds. It was moved from, I believe, on Central Avenue in Westfield. So it is a historic period building, but not historic to here. We have a couple buildings like that on the site, actually. But if we go inside, this is where our volunteers would do their cooking demonstrations on the Sundays that they were open.
Very nice. Do you know what year this was built?
No, not offhand, but it's 18th century.
This is a fairly large building.
Yeah.
Were you here when they moved it?
No, that was back in the 1970s.
Okay. So we're outside another building here at the museum, and this is
the corn crib, which is another historic building that was not original here, although they probably had a corn crib. But this was also moved from, I believe, Elizabeth, but this was moved piece by piece over to the Miller-Cory house. As you can see, it's a pretty scary looking.
It's pretty weathered.
But it's all authentic.
And is it used for anything?
Storage.
Storage.
We open it up and
no
kids
corn?
can see. There is corn actually in there sometimes.
Okay, very good. The outhouse? Fran said that the children are most intrigued about is the outdoor plumbing, and this is where we are.
Yes, and this is the privy or the necessary room or the outhouse, which is also very old, as you can see.
Still functional at all?
Oh, it'll be functional as long as there's a hole there.
So you say you just live right down the street, so you can walk to your volunteer job here.
Yeah, it's 3 houses away.
Yeah, very good.
Literally.
Very good. Was there anything in particular you'd like the Westfield residents to know about this house? Just some knowledge you want to impart on them about the Miller-Cory house?
Yeah, so we've just developed a new website that is a quantum leap over what we had before. Before it was just 5 or 6 pages of text. Now we've got an interactive tour where you can actually go and look at a map of the Miller-Cory house and click on the different areas you want to visit. We have an online tour for the house, room by room, and we'd love people to go ahead and check that out. And that's at www.millercoryhouse.org.
Very good. Well, Laura, thank you very much for being on TV36, and thanks for volunteering for the town of Westfield.
Thanks again.
I'm so glad I came by to see the Miller-Cory Museum house. I encourage all Westfield residents, if you haven't been to this treasure here in Westfield, please do so at 614 Mountain Avenue. I'm Mayor Andy Skibitsky, and thank you for tuning in to TV36 and Hometown.